So, it's been a while since my last Debunking the Lies video. This third installment was always on the books, but priorities in other areas of research, such as the writing of my book, has delayed the release of this video. The previous two videos in this series examined Bantu City Diaries' ridiculous IQ study and his presentation on black people being ugly. Both were effectively and effortlessly dismantled. It is also worth noting before examining the video itself that BCD's behavior between these rebuttals suggests that sustained scrutiny is registering. The IQ video was moved to members only following the first public rebuttal. These are clearly the actions of a creator who understands his work is under scrutiny and is now considering their words and topics much more carefully. He understands his need to manage the exposure of content that cannot survive open examination. The pressure of evidenced, sustained critique is doing exactly what it is intended to do. Exactly what I knew it would do. The video under examination here is titled, "Why Do Black Women Wear Fake White and Asian Looking Hair?"
Why do black women wear fake white and Asian hair? What is wrong with black hair texture? Why do black women hate their hair so much?
It is the usual unbridled attack on black women that we have grown accustomed to. Its central proposition is that black women globally have adopted hairstyles not native to their race as an expression of self-hatred, cultural inferiority, and a desire to approximate whiteness. As with BCD's previous videos, the claim is stated with great confidence and supported with almost nothing.
They say black is beautiful, yet it's striking that over 90% of black women, whether in Africa, Brazil, Colombia, the USA, Canada, the UK, France, Germany, or elsewhere, have hair on their head that is not natural to their race.
BCD opens with a statistical assertion: over 90% of black women, regardless of whether they live in Africa, Brazil, Colombia, the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, or anywhere else, wear hair that is not natural to their race. He is, in effect, citing himself again, a practice that has appeared across his previous videos. More damaging still, BCD's own visual evidence contradicts the claim he has just made. The slideshows he presents throughout the video, assembled presumably to support his 90% figure, are populated predominantly by black women with natural hairstyles.
Black hair texture. Why do black women hate their hair so much? They say black is beautiful, yet it's striking that over 90% of black women, whether in Africa, Brazil, Colombia, the USA, Canada, the UK, France, Germany, or elsewhere, have hair on their head that is not natural to their race. Whether in Africa, Brazil, Colombia, the USA, Canada, the UK, France, Germany, or elsewhere, have hair on their head that is not natural to their race.
Wait, is he angry that he thinks they are wearing wigs, or simply angry that they have hair on their head at all? It seems that BCD thinks that all black women should be bald. Braids, locks, twists, afros, silk-pressed natural hair, and hair pulled into buns appear across the images. Examining the same slideshows, it becomes clear that in several of BCD's own curated sequences, between 60 and 80% of the women pictured are wearing their hair in styles that are self-evidently natural or styled from their natural texture. BCD's central statistical claim is that 90% of black women do not appear in public with their natural hair. His own images, which he selected specifically to support this claim, still show the opposite. A creator arguing in good faith, confronted with evidence that his premise is wrong before his video is even halfway through, would revise. BCD, however, doesn't argue in good faith. Whilst this rebuttal is not claiming that wig wearing and extensions are uncommon amongst black women. The claim being challenged is that the fabricated figure is presented without a scrap of evidential support and made implausible on its face by the very images BCD himself assembles. What becomes abundantly clear as the video progresses is that BCD has a very limited and distorted frame of reference for A, what constitutes a natural hairstyle, B, what hairstyles are emulations of European hair, C, the capabilities of black female hair, and D, the prevalence of hair extensions as a cosmetic enhancement across all ethnic groups.
They either wear fake wigs or natural white or Asian looking hair obtained from humans of other races. Why do they do this?
The phrase "not natural to their race" carries a further problem. It presupposes a rigid biological correspondence between racial group membership and hair type that does not survive contact with reality. Black women's hair covers an enormous range of textures, from very tight coils to loose waves, often within the same ethnicity and sometimes within the same nuclear family. One household might contain sisters with hair that falls in loose natural waves and others with pronounced 4C hair. The idea that there is a single identifiable hair type that is natural to black women and that anything departing from it is therefore fake is not a scientific claim. It is an assertion made by someone whose understanding of the range of black hair textures is visibly limited. BCD's thesis rests on a specific interpretive move. The decision to wear a wig or extensions that differ from one's natural hair texture is evidence of self-hatred.
The misplaced priority of the black African is never so glaring as the intensity of black women putting hair that look like white women on their head. They have let white women set the standards of beauty for them.
Black women, in consistent observation, do not take their style cues from white women. They take them from other black women. The proliferation of lace front wigs with lighter or straighter textures over the past 2 decades is substantially traceable to early 2000s black cultural influences like Beyoncé, who popularized this aesthetic amongst black women who admired her and wanted to replicate her look. The reference point is more akin to black celebrity than whiteness. Admittedly, it's not my favorite trend, and I'm frustrated that this aesthetic has been so pervasive, but that doesn't change the origin of the trend. The mechanism of influence is black women looking to other black women, not black women trying to approximate whiteness. Black hairstyle trends move in this way consistently. A prominent black woman establishes an aesthetic, and a significant portion of black women who admire her adopt versions of it. This has been true across decades, from the styles associated with TLC and Salt and Pepper, The Brat, and En Vogue in the 1990s to the present. We are a community that takes our cultural direction from within, and just like in black male circles of influence, sometimes the role models do introduce trends that are disbenefits to our progression. This is perhaps the only area where myself and BCD agree.
In Nigeria, the poverty capital of the world, Nigerian women buy natural Asian hair sometimes for up to $10,000. These people who have nothing but a natural white or Asian looking hair industry has become more lucrative than the industries such as waste management, sanitation, and research and development combined, those industries that they actually need to clean up their countries.
Besides the unsupported and frankly irrelevant comparison between the size of the commercial cosmetics industry and the national sanitation services. Let's fact check the veracity of this claim to see if it stands up to scrutiny. The premise being that African women spend disproportionately on their hair when compared to the revenue generated by the country. According to Oxford Economics, the UK beauty and cosmetics care industry is a massive, growing market valued at around £30 billion as of 2024, with the broader beauty sector included. This is largely driven by the fact that around 63% of UK women wear makeup daily. The figure is equivalent to around 1% of UK GDP, which is calculated to be around £3 trillion. By comparison, Nigeria, which is the second largest beauty market in Africa, has the beauty sector estimated at £1 trillion, or just over £500 million, according to latest estimates. This is just 2% of the UK figure, yet Nigeria's population is nearly 3 times the size of the UK. With Nigeria's nominal GDP estimated at just over £200 billion, hair and cosmetics equates to just 0.25% of national revenue. And with GDP adjusted for cost of living and local prices to the PPP value of £1.5 trillion, the spend decreases to just 0.03% of total GDP. As you can see, even at very highest estimates, it is way below the equivalent UK contribution in the sector. Once again, the available data refutes the claim, proving that in spite of BCD's outrageous guesswork regarding female expenditure on hair, African women spend comparatively a fraction on hair and cosmetics than what is spent on average in Europe. At this point, it's important to note that wig wearing, hair extensions, and chemical alteration of hair texture are practices shared across every demographic of women in one form or another. White women in the United Kingdom and United States spent the better part of 3 decades from approximately the 1960s to the 1980s almost never wearing their hair in its natural state. The beehive, the perm, the stiffened, upswept styles of those eras were achieved through chemical processes and considerable effort specifically to make straight hair do things it would not naturally do, and they used copious amounts of chemicals and aerosols to aid the process. These styles were, in essence, an attempt to give straight hair the kind of volume and upward lift that is a natural characteristic of black women's hair. Nobody described any of this as self-hatred or as evidence that white women wanted to be black. We even see the same trend going as far back as to Tudor England in both the women and men, but that's an entirely different discussion. Today, although there is less texture manipulation amongst Europeans, the use of extensions remains universal amongst those who indulge heavily in hair and makeup. The point is, hair extension use is not a black phenomenon, it is a female phenomenon. Isolating black women's participation in it as uniquely pathological requires a standard that is applied to no one else.
Whether it is Michelle Obama, Naomi Campbell, Beyonce, Rihanna, Serena Williams, Tiwa Savage, Zozibini Tunzi, or Lupita Nyong'o, they all wear fake white or Asian looking hair or wigs that are often styled to resemble white or Asian aesthetics. I must give credit to Lupita for sometimes embracing natural, like her natural hair.
Aside from the fact that Lupita Nyong'o has only ever worn her hair in natural styles in public, so the defamatory claim by BCD is more evidence that he believes length is not natural to Africans. There also is another layer to this discussion that needs addressing. Black women are the only women who have historically and currently received persecution for wearing their natural hair. The Crown Act, an acronym for creating a respectful and open world for natural hair, is legislation that has been adopted by more than 28 states in the United States. It exists for this specific reason. Black women have faced documented professional and legal discrimination for wearing their natural hair in workplace and educational settings. The data supporting the need for this legislation is copious. Black women have been sent home from jobs, excluded from schools, and passed over for opportunities because their natural hair, whether worn as an afro, in locks, in braids, or in twists, was deemed unprofessional, unclean, or otherwise unacceptable by institutions operating under aesthetic standards derived from white European norms. This persecution also is not unique to the West. In both Africa and the Caribbean, traditional black hairstyles like afros and locks have faced restriction, regulation, and prohibition in schools and workplaces. If wearing natural hair risks a black woman's employment or educational opportunities. And if wearing a wig that more closely approximates a texture coded as professional removes that risk, the choice to wear a wig cannot be framed as an expression of self-hatred. It is a rational response to a discriminatory system. Although this reasoning is less prevalent, it is a contributor, blaming the woman for navigating the conditions and multiple contributing factors behind their decision-making, rather than examining the system that forces the navigation, is akin to victim blaming, something BCD unfortunately thrives on. Before colonial intervention, Africans were the most expressive and technically sophisticated people in the world when it came to hair. The ethno-trichological tradition, evident in the expression of social status, cultural identity, and artistic sensibility through hairstyle, is documented in ancient Yoruba bronzework, Ife terracottas, Feza cave art across the Sahara, and pre-colonial societies continent-wide. Rwanda has recently begun reviving the Amasunzu hairstyle tradition once banned by the Europeans. Colonial intervention deliberately suppressed centuries of ethnocultural pride and expression as a means of control and societal deconstruction. For BCD to discuss what we as Black people do with our hair today without acknowledging that history is typically ignorant and characteristically dishonest. And I get it. Indulging any kind of structural context would require BCD to acknowledge that the choices Black women make about their hair are shaped by forces external to themselves, and that acknowledgement would dismantle the self-hatred thesis the video is built around.
In Africa, people not only wear hair that is influenced by white or Asian styles, but some also bleach their skin to achieve a lighter appearance. You see, for all the white guys who are overweight and struggling to find hot girls, if you are into Black women, consider flying to Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon, Gabon, Cote d'Ivoire, or the various African countries and see how the women will run you over.
Ignoring his tasteless, insulting, and frankly grotesque attempt at pimping out African women to white men by presenting the entire population as little more than money-hungry harlots, an approach that BCD sadly frequently revisits. BCD simultaneously ignores the pandemics of prostitution across Latin America, Southeast Asia, Russia, and almost anywhere there is tangible economic disadvantage. The selective outrage directed at Black women's cosmetic choices cannot survive even a cursory examination of what non-Black women are doing with their bodies and their appearance at the same moment in history. The modern Western female beauty ideal, as it currently presents itself across social media, mainstream entertainment, and the cosmetic surgery industry, is oriented towards physical features that are naturally more common in Black women. Lip augmentation, the single most commonly requested cosmetic procedure in several Western countries, is designed to produce fuller lips, a feature more naturally associated with Black women's facial structure. Cheek fillers are administered to produce higher, more pronounced cheekbones, a feature more naturally associated with Black women's facial anatomy. Brazilian butt lifts, one of the fastest growing surgical procedures globally, are designed to produce a fuller, more prominent posterior, a feature associated with the natural Black female physique. Tanning, whether through sun exposure, tanning booths, or spray application, is designed to darken the skin, moving it closer to a complexion more naturally associated with Black women. The implications are unavoidable. If a Black woman were undergoing surgical procedures to thin her lips, reduce her cheekbones, flatten her posterior, and lighten her skin, the interpretation would be obvious and the criticism would be overwhelming, probably universal. She would be accused of trying to look white. But non-Black women are undergoing the precise reverse of all of these procedures in enormous numbers, and nobody describes it as trying to look Black. Nobody accuses white women of self-hatred. Nobody produces a video asking why white women hate themselves so much. Isn't it ironic? Other women are going to the gym specifically to build a body that Black women are more likely to have naturally. Yet BCD has never produced a video asking what this means about non-black women's relationship to their own identity. The double standard is undeniable. The one thing black women do that can be framed as approximating a non-black aesthetic, that is, wearing a particular style of wig, is treated as the ultimate evidence of a pathological relationship with their own identity. Yet the plethora of behaviours non-black women do to approximate the black female aesthetic are not examined and are not subject to any examination or standards at all. It's very typical in the modern world for every other race of women to be insulated by everyone else from scrutiny. Yet the same world holds black women to the highest standards and expectations.
When I refer to black women or black people in general, I am not including people of mixed race. A person with one parent being white, European, Japanese, Chinese, Korean or Latino parent is not black. Are you listening to me, African Americans? Tiger Woods is not black. Barack Obama is not black. Naomi Osaka is not black. And to Nigerians, William Troost Ekong, Leon Balogun, Tyrone Ebuehi, and Ashley Plumtire are not black either. They are mixed raced people. They are black just as they are white. If biology is not taught in the African American education system, that is not my problem.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
In typical unbridled ignorance, BCD also announces that Tiger Woods, Barack Obama, and Naomi Osaka is not black. He extends this to several mixed heritage Nigerian footballers, declaring them not black either. He frames this as a truth that African Americans have not been taught because it is absent from their educational system, and he presents it with the confidence of someone delivering a revelation. This is the kind of arrogance that is done to galvanize ethnocentric hate between black people in Africa against those in the diaspora. To explain, racial classification in the United States is not a fixed biological taxonomy. It is a legal and administrative instrument that has been redefined repeatedly, sometimes every decade across successive census cycles. Categories such as mulatto, colored, Negro, and black have been applied, retired, and replaced by different administrations for different political purposes. This historical observation is documented in the work of scholars, including historian Dr. Nell Irvin Painter, a multiple New York Times best-selling author whose research establishes that racial categories in America shift with census policy rather than with biology. Race is a social construct which alters depending on classifying population. A person classified as a mulatto in one era became a Negro in the next, and then black in the one after that, without any change to their ancestry or their appearance. Consider how the line between black and colored shifts, and how many South African coloreds are considered black in neighboring African communities. The one-drop rule, the principle that any traceable African ancestry made a person legally black in the United States, was not an anthropological finding. It was a legal mechanism designed to maximize the number of people who could be classified as second-class citizens. It was created by white people to serve white interests. It is within this constructed system and not outside it that the racial identities of the people BCD lists were formed and have been lived. BCD's lame attempt to offer clarification and euphemize the complex subject of race to fit his own limited paradigm of understanding is as laughable as it is arrogant. BCD even raises skin bleaching in black African communities as further evidence of a specifically black relationship to self-hatred and the rejection of natural appearance. And whilst skin bleaching does exist in many African communities where it involves dangerous chemical processes and constitutes a genuine public health concern, BCD's framing is disingenuous when placed within a global context. As I've previously discussed, skin lightening and bleaching is not an exclusively black phenomenon. It's not even a majority black phenomena, it's a mass market consumer industry across Asia and the Arab world. For instance, in most of the Middle East, it's the dominant off-the-shelf solution for general skincare. Specialist shops are often needed to source skin cream without bleaching agents. Products from multinational cosmetic industries such as Olay's Fair & Lovely and numerous equivalents are sold not as specialist treatments. These products are treated as standard skincare across South Asia, Southeast Asia, East Asia, and the Middle East. The market is a multi-billion pound industry. The Bollywood, Korean, and Japanese film aesthetic, with intensively lightened casts that often employ actresses that have been bleaching their skin throughout their careers, is sufficiently well known and widely accepted. It generates almost no critical commentary. European tanning culture operates as the same impulse in reverse. People lie in tanning booths, use spray tans, and apply self-tanning creams specifically to darken their skin, to move their complexion closer to something warmer and darker. Consider this perspective. Imagine if black people in Africa lay in the sun or applied chemicals to lighten their skin at the rate that Europeans tan to darken theirs. The description of that behavior would not be innocuously framed as the tanning industry. It would be described as a dangerous, culturally pathological rejection of natural appearance. The behavior is identical, and yet the language applied to it is always amplified negatively for black women.
You don't need to wear them, black women. You are beautiful just the way you are. When I was growing up, there was a saying, black is beautiful. I've always wondered why we use that phrase specifically. Shouldn't all humans be considered beautiful? When people see a puppy or a baby, they often say, oh, it, she, or he is beautiful. This makes me question, are we implying that some puppies or babies are ugly? What I'm trying to convey is that Hollywood and white standards should not define beauty. The absence of a strong black presence that has successfully created a developed nation, culture, and identity has left the global black community fragmented among the dominant cultures that shape their world. As a result, black women often feel pressured to conform to beauty standards established by others. The failure of the black race goes far beyond the dirty streets of Africa. It has weakened the self-esteem of black people around the globe. If black men can embrace their thick, coiled, zigzag hair and proudly brand it, then black women should also find a way to celebrate their natural hair without feeling the need to cover it with hair that mimics white or Asian features. To black women in the Caribbean, Brazil, Colombia, the USA, Canada, the UK, France, Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, Portugal, and throughout Africa, I want to say this to you. You are adorable and beautiful. Your curves are unique. No other woman comes close. Your skin color, your lips, and your overall structure are, in my opinion, the closest thing to heaven.
After spending the entirety of its runtime characterizing black women as self-hating, culturally deficient, promiscuous, and desperate for white validation, BCD concludes with a declaration of love. He tells black women that they are wonderful, that he cares about them, that his criticism comes from a place of genuine concern.
Shocked! Shocked! Well, not that shocked.
Anybody with a modicum of discernment will immediately read this cynical diatribe for the disingenuous drivel that it is. A creator who genuinely loved the community he was discussing would not produce the kind of video catalogue created by BCD, one that moves without exception in one direction. Every video arrives at the same destination. Black people are deficient. The affection declared at the end of a handful of individual videos does not alter the accumulated weight of hatred, distortions, and disinformation expressed in his catalogue. I'm somewhat sure that these weak disclaimers are also a direct response to pressure. My pressure. BCD moved the IQ video to members only. He restricted comments on the attractiveness video. I would argue the warm closing statement in the hair video is the same kind of retreat, an attempt to maintain some residual credibility with the community he is disparaging without abandoning the content that generates his income. Irrespective, it won't work for his audience or for me. An audience that wants to see black people degraded does not want to see BCD express affection for them. They don't value nuance and balance. Likewise, a black audience being dishonestly degraded over and over is not going to be won over by a token gesture, regardless of how warm his closing statement is. The middle ground that he is attempting to occupy does not exist, and he will learn that the hard way. As usual, all of his arguments collapse when they come under the weight of cursory academic and logical scrutiny. And this is my word that I will continue to refute his harmful lies and misinformation until he learns that peddling such lies comes with dealing with me as a consequence.
Nothing unsettles a black man more than accountability. Now, let's move on. I've cleared that one. I refuse to play political correctness or create content merely to accommodate the sensitivities of any particular group. About 40% of the population lives on less than $5 per day. Well, it is often funded by their many boyfriends anyway.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?